Chapter 1. The Call That Changed Everything. Night fell heavy over Port Charles, the kind of night that carried secrets in the fog drifting across Spoon Island. Lucas Jones had barely finished a late shift at GH when his phone rang. The caller ID flashed unlisted number. He almost ignored it, until a voice he hadn't heard in years rasped through the speaker. "Lucas, you need to come to Wyndemere. Now." The voice was trembling, frightened, and unmistakably Kevin Collins. Lucas straightened immediately. "Kevin? What's happening?" "I've stumbled onto something. Something connected to your family. Something Sidwell doesn't want anyone to see." A shaky breath. "You're the only one I trust right now." Sidwell. Even hearing the name made Lucas's stomach clench. The man had been orbiting the edges of Port Charles for months, an investor, a scientist, a silent manipulator whose influence was growing like poison vine. Rumors whispered he had files on half the town, that he helped resurrect dead men and vanish the living. Lucas grabbed his coat. "Stay where you are. I'm coming." But Kevin whispered, "It may already be too late." The call went dead. And Lucas knew, with bone-deep certainty, that whatever awaited him on Spoon Island would shatter everything he believed about his family and about life and death in Port Charles. The launch ride across the dark water felt longer than usual. The wind chilled Lucas through his jacket, and the moon hung low like a watching eye. When the boat scraped against the rocks of Spoon Island, Lucas climbed out and stared at the looming shadow of Wyndemere. The estate was darker than usual. No lanterns, no warm interior glow. Just a silent, brooding castle with 1,000 locked rooms. Lucas pushed open the heavy door. "Kevin," he called, but his voice echoed back unanswered. He stepped inside, and froze. The air was freezing, unnaturally so. A faint hum vibrated through the floor, like machinery buried in the walls. Something was wrong, more wrong than anything Lucas had ever felt here, and this castle had seen more than its share of nightmares. He moved forward, relying on memory, down the main hall, past the portrait of Helena Cassadine, whose painted eyes seemed to flicker in the candlelight. Toward the old east wing, long abandoned. He heard a sound. A shuffle. A breath. A whisper. "Lucas." He spun around, but saw no one. Goosebumps crawled up his arms. Then a door creaked open down the hall. A narrow sliver of blue light leaked out. Kevin Collins stepped into view, pale and wild-eyed. "Thank God you're here," Kevin whispered before gripping Lucas's shoulder as if he might collapse. "I didn't know who else to turn to. Sidwell, he used Wyndemere. He used the Cassadine tunnels. And what I found." He broke off, voice trembling. "Where?" Lucas asked quietly. Kevin stepped back and pointed toward the door glowing with blue light. "In there." Lucas swallowed hard. And together, they walked into hell. The room was small, cold, metallic. A makeshift lab. Lucas stepped inside, and his breath left his body. Two figures lay on metal gurneys, sheets covering them to the chin, pale faces exposed under harsh lights. And Lucas's heart almost stopped. One was unmistakable. Georgie Jones. His beloved cousin. Dead for years. Alive in photos, memories, stories, but never in flesh. Until now. Her skin was ice white. Her eyelashes frozen. But her face was undeniably George's. Lucas staggered back. No. No, this is not possible. Georgie is dead. Georgie is gone. Kevin put a hand on his shoulder. "Lucas. I'm sorry. I don't know how Sidwell obtained her body. But he did. And he did something to it." Lucas turned to the second body, and his world cracked open again. The man on the table was older, gaunt, but recognizable. Tony Jones. Lucas's father. Lucas collapsed to his knees. My dad is gone. He died years ago. We buried him." "I know," Kevin whispered. "But Sidwell had them. Both of them. And they show signs of—" He hesitated. "Signs of experimentation." Lucas grabbed the edge of the gurney for balance. "Experimentation? What kind?" Kevin swallowed hard. "Human cellular resurrection attempts. Neural reactivation mapping. Organ preservation outside biological limits." Lucas stared at him, numb. "Are you telling me Sidwell was trying to bring them back?" Kevin shook his head slowly. "Worse. He was trying to use them." Lucas rose shakily to his feet. "Where is Sidwell now?" Kevin looked down. "Gone. He left the island 3 hours ago." Then we need proof. Something to expose this. Kevin nodded and opened a cabinet. Inside were folders, devices, vials filled with strange, shimmering fluid. Lucas grabbed the top folder labeled. He flipped through the pages, and horror washed over him. Black right arrow notes on tissue viability. Black right arrow trials of electric restimulation. Black right arrow confirmations of DNA integrity. Black right arrow failed attempts at memory reclamation. Black right arrow attempts to merge Cassadine technology with neural processors. Lucas's hands shook violently. He used them like lab rats, he whispered. Kevin nodded miserably. I wanted to call the authorities, but Sidwell owns judges, doctors, donors. He'd bury this before sunrise. Lucas slammed the folder shut. Then we expose him ourselves. But before Kevin could respond, a metallic clang echoed through the tunnels. Lucas and Kevin froze. Then came footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Approaching. How did he know we were here? Lucas breathed. Kevin paled. He didn't. The footsteps grew louder. And then, a shadow filled the doorway. The figure stepped inside. Lucas's heart stopped. He recognized the shape, the height, the jawline. Kevin inhaled sharply. It was Tony Jones. But not the Tony Lucas remembered, not his gentle, wise, compassionate father. This version was rigid, stiff, his skin too pale, his eyes clouded with faint blue light. His movements were jerky, unnatural. A puppet on strings. Lucas staggered backward. Dad! The figure didn't answer. It simply stared at Lucas, head tilting with slow mechanical movements. Kevin whispered, This isn't truly Tony. It's a neural echo. A reanimated shell responding to base triggers. Tony took a step forward. Lucas's throat tightened. Dad? Can you hear me? A crackling synthetic voice responded, broken, glitching. Cass. Tears blurred Lucas's vision. Kevin grabbed his arm. We need to go. Now. Tony stepped closer, hands trembling, as if trying to reach out or restrain them. Lucas whispered, Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then the lights flickered. A distant alarm began blaring. Kevin cursed. Sidwell set failsafes. He knows someone found the bodies. The castle vibrated with mechanical growls. Lucas and Kevin ran. Behind them, Tony followed, slow but relentless. And somewhere deeper in the corridors, something else moved. They sprinted through the tunnels, the alarms echoing like the heartbeat of an angry giant. Where's the exit? Lucas gasped. This way. Kevin pointed toward a narrow stairwell. But before they reached it, a shrill scream ripped through the darkness. The sound of metal scraping. A door slamming open. Kevin grabbed Lucas's arm. Don't stop. Whatever that is. But Lucas already knew. It was Georgie. Or rather, whatever Sidwell made out of Georgie. A pale figure stumbled into the hallway behind them, long hair falling over her face. A hospital gown fluttered around her skeletal frame. Her fingers clawed at the walls as she moved unnaturally fast, dragged by spasming muscle memory. Her voice cracked in a glitching whisper. Cass, help me. Lucas nearly collapsed from the emotional agony. Georgie, I'm here, I'm right here. Kevin yanked him backward. Lucas, no. She's not alive, her mind isn't intact. Sidwell only preserved fragments. Georgie looked up. Her eyes were dead. Completely dead. Yet they stared at Lucas with the weight of 1,000 lost memories. Tony emerged beside her, both figures blocking the hallway. And then, they advanced. Fast. Very fast. Lucas and Kevin fled down a side hallway. They're following us. Lucas yelled. Of course they are. Sidwell programmed them to move toward any living presence. They raced past brick walls, past abandoned Cassadine relics, past a rusted iron gate. The castle seemed alive with whirring machines Sidwell had grafted into its ancient bones. Kevin pointed. Through that door. They burst inside. And found themselves in Helena's old laboratory. Tanks of green liquid. Notes in Russian. Cassadine devices humming with electrical life. Lucas gasped. Sidwell used Helena's lab. That's why he chose Wyndemere. Kevin nodded grimly. He didn't just experiment on your family. He experimented on Cassadine tech. The door behind them shuddered. George's contorted silhouette appeared in the crack. Kevin looked around wildly. We need to lock them in. Lucas spotted a heavy collapsible gate. Help me. They pulled it across the doorway just in time. Georgie slammed into the bars, fingers curling around the metal. Cass, she croaked in a broken echo of her real voice. Lucas turned away, tears falling. Tony joined her, both figures rattling the gate, glitching, twitching, trapped but terrifying. Kevin touched Lucas's shoulder. We have to leave them. They are not themselves anymore. Lucas nodded numbly. The only way to honor them now was to stop Sidwell. Lucas spotted another door, secure, locked electronically. Kevin typed a code. How do you know that? Lucas asked. Kevin grimaced. Because Sidwell forced me to help him with psych evaluations for some of his subjects. I managed to steal a few access codes before he cut me off. The door unlocked. Inside was a large vault lined with filing cabinets, hard drives, and encrypted tablets. Blue lights pulsed along the walls. This was Sidwell's brain, his entire operation documented and preserved. Lucas scanned labels. Lucas whispered. He didn't just experiment on the dead. He experimented on the living. And on anyone he could get close to, Kevin said darkly. Sidwell is building an army of programmable, resurrected, enhanced humans. Ones he alone can control. Lucas grabbed every file he could carry. We're taking these. We're exposing him. Kevin hesitated. Lucas, if we take these files, Sidwell will come after us. He'll unleash everyone he's experimented on. Lucas stared at him with raw determination. He failed my family once. He won't hurt them again. The alarms grew louder. Flames flickered through the vents. Sidwell triggered a purge, Kevin said. He's burning the evidence. Then we need to get out, now. They ran through the corridor toward the last remaining exit tunnel leading to the cliffs. Smoke filled the air. Fire crawled up the stone walls. Behind them, something screeched. Georgie and Tony had broken the gate. Lucas turned, and nearly collapsed. The two figures were in flames, skin blistering, but still moving, still pursuing, still driven by Sidwell's programming. Go! Kevin shouted. They reached the final door. Kevin shoved Lucas through. Then Kevin turned back. Kevin! Lucas yelled. Kevin closed the door halfway and held it with all his strength. They are too fast. Kevin shouted. If they get out, Sidwell will use them again. Smoke poured through the cracks. The fire closed in. Kevin, come with me. But Kevin shook his head. This ends here, Lucas. You get out. You expose Sidwell. I'll hold them off. The door slammed shut. Lucas screamed, Kevin! But it was too late. On the other side of the door, the shadows of Tony and Georgie engulfed Kevin as flames swallowed the hallway. Lucas collapsed, sobbing. Then he forced himself up. He ran. For them. For Kevin. For his father. For Georgie. For justice. Lucas stumbled out onto the rocky cliffs as Wyndemere burned behind him, pillars of smoke rising into the night like grieving spirits. The fire department sirens wailed in the distance. Lucas clutched the files to his chest. Kevin was gone. Tony was gone again. Georgie was gone again. Sidwell had taken everything from him. But not their truth. Lucas waited as the first ferry arrived carrying Mac Scorpio, Dante Falconeri, Anna Devane, and several officers. Mac ran to him. Lucas! What happened? The whole island looks like it's on fire. Lucas handed him the files with trembling hands. Sidwell happened. Anna's eyes widened. You have evidence? Everything, Lucas whispered. He experimented on my family. He resurrected them. He used them. Mac swallowed hard. Georgie? Lucas nodded tearfully. Mac hugged him tightly. We'll get him for this. I swear it. Dante stepped forward. Lucas, where's Kevin? Lucas shook his head, voice breaking. He saved me. He didn't make it out. Anna closed her eyes in grief. But Lucas straightened, wiping his tears. I'm exposing Sidwell. I owe it to Kevin. I owe it to Georgie. I owe it to my dad. And as dawn broke over Port Charles, Lucas Jones, quiet, gentle, dependable Lucas, became the town's unexpected warrior. Sidwell had played God. Now Lucas would make sure he faced justice. No matter the cost. 12 hours later. Port Charles was buzzing. News had spread fast. Wyndemere burned. Bodies found. Lucas Jones in possession of files exposing Sidwell's human resurrection experiments. Calls poured into GH, PCPD, and the mayor's office. Everyone wanted answers. And Sidwell wanted revenge. Lucas sat in an interrogation room at the PCPD, exhausted, trembling, grieving, but determined. Anna walked in. "Lucas," she said gently, "what you did today was brave. Heroic." Lucas shook his head. "I didn't save them." "You saved their dignity," Anna said. "You stopped Sidwell from using them again." Before Lucas could reply, the lights flickered. The building went cold. And the intercom crackled with a distorted voice. A voice Lucas knew. Sidwell's. "Lucas Jones. Return my files. Or I will take everything from you, just like I took everything from your father." Lucas's blood froze. Anna drew her weapon. Dante shouted for backup. But Lucas looked up slowly, eyes blazing with a new fire. "Sidwell wants a war? Fine." He stood. He just got one. Lucas stepped outside the interrogation room as alarms blared across the PCPD. Officers scrambled. Backup was called. But Lucas walked with purpose. For the first time in his life, he felt his father beside him, not the twisted version Sidwell created, but the real Tony Jones guiding his heart. "Lucas," Anna called after him. "Where are you going?" Lucas turned to her. "To finish what Sidwell started." Dante stepped in front of him. "Lucas, you can't fight a man like Sidwell alone." Lucas stared at them with fierce determination. "I'm not alone." He walked out of the PCPD. The war for Port Charles had begun. And Lucas Jones, heartbroken, grieving, wounded, was ready to become the hero his family deserved. Sidwell had awakened ghosts. Now Lucas would bury him. For good.